Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my 5 favourite spring palettes. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm excited about this video. I'm kind of in the spring mood. You could probably tell by my cardigan. The weather has been absolutely gorgeous. I just wanted to show you guys 5 palettes that I personally love for spring and that you might like too. So the first product is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I think this is such a fun palette. It's just got so many fun shades in it. You could do so many different looks. It's quite muted. Then you've got some neutrals down in this bottom area here. And then you've got some more like ethereal shades, I like to call them. I'm actually wearing this palette on my eyes today. And I'll tell you what I'm wearing. Libra in my crease. Nebula, this beautiful blue like textured shade. That's all over my lid. And then on the inner corner I'm wearing Cosmic, so it's just a 3 shadow look. I've done this look tons of times and I never get bored of it. Huda Beauty is also known for their textured eyeshadows, especially in their larger palettes, and I know they've been starting to do certain ones in their smaller palettes as well, although I think the larger palettes for the most part tend to be better quality. And I just think this is a really fun palette for spring. It's actually on offer at Feel Unique at the moment, last time I checked, for about £40. I will put a link below to where you can get that, and I'll also link everything below that I'm showing you today as well. Now if you really want to get into the spring mood and you are a pastel lover, then you might be interested in the Natasha Denona palette. It's a really beautiful pastel palette. They're quite bright, vibrant pastels as well. They're not like really muted or anything like that. I have a cat hair in my palette. Wonderful. Pastel shadows in the past have been quite hard. I think people find really hard to formulate. They can be quite chalky, quite powdery, not enough colour payoff. I don't get that with this palette at all. It's beautiful, it's vibrant. Even the more muted shades, like they show up on my skin. The thing about this is you can create so many different looks, like endless looks with this palette because of the colour selection. The mattes are smooth and creamy, the shimmers are beautiful, and if you want to turn your look up a notch, if you feel like you're not getting enough from this palette, try the shimmers where it just works out so nicely. So if you are into colours and pastels like myself, then this palette might be something that you're really interested in. I'd recommend going to swatch it where you can. I think they sell it in not Sephora, Selfridges. We don't have Sephora in the UK, unfortunately, but I think they sell it in Selfridges. I know they sell it online, but if you wanted to go and swatch this, it is quite a hefty price tag. It's £60 for a midi palette. Then I would recommend going to swatch it first and see if something like this is for you. But I love this palette for spring. I think it's beautiful. I've got something for people who like more neutral shades, and it is the Cream and Sugar palette by e.l.f. And this is my budget-friendly pick for all you neutral lovers out there. And also all you people who don't like too many shades and you feel a bit overwhelmed and you don't know what to do with too many colours. I think these like little quads are fantastic. They're only £4 as well, and most of them are great quality. There's a couple like the Mint collection that I didn't think were the best quality. This one in particular, Rosewater, Pumpkin Spice, I think the majority of them are really good quality for £4. And as for the colour selection, like I said, let's face it, not everybody wants like a million colours or a colourful eyeshadow palette at all. So just because it's spring doesn't mean that everybody's into a colour all of a sudden. So I just thought that this would be a great one to add in. I like this because especially this champagne gold shade, it's so nice and bright that all over the lid it's just going to look really beautiful. So you've got this darker shade to deepen things up a bit as well in the outer corner if you want to, or you could just go in with this shade here and put a little bit of this in the middle and it's going to look really beautiful. Even though I love colour, I do like a neutral shadow as well. So I really thought it was worth putting this palette in the video because I do use this around the springtime. I mean, I use it all year round, but I just thought it would be really good for those of you who weren't really into the pastels or the bright colours or the lilacs in the Huda Beauty Retrograde palette. So this is something for all you neutral lovers out there and all of you who are on a budget. For the last two, we have 2 Colourpop palettes. The first one here is the Blush Crush palette. This is a really beautiful palette. It's a pinky rosy palette, and what I love is especially for this top row here and this row here to just deepen things up. I do love the bottom row as well. I mean, I love all of it, but these 2 rows here particularly are really beautiful for spring. It does have a Super Shock shadow in it, which I'm not bothered about. It does get a little bit messy. I prefer to just have a normal eyeshadow in there because I feel like these can dry out, but I prefer the Super Shock shadows over glitter, so it's not so bad. I don't mind the Super Shock shadow. But like I said, again, you can always deepen up your look, but if you want to keep it light for spring, I think these top 2 rows are fantastic. The mattes in here aren't as smooth as some of the other palettes, as the Natasha Denona palette or the Huda Beauty palette. They're a little bit, not gritty, but they do feel a little textured but they do apply really smoothly. I'm pretty sure this is available on the Colourpop website. I will link it down below in the description box if you're interested in it. But I just think this is a really beautiful palette for spring if you love those more pinky rosy tones. Also, if you are really into shimmers, this has a lot of shimmers or mattes with suspended glitter in it. So if you're not into that, you might not be interested in this, but if you are into your shimmers or your mattes with suspended glitter, this palette might be for you. This palette has 3 mattes of suspended glitter, 3 mattes, and then 2 shimmers and 1 super shock. All in all, I think the Blush Crush palette is a really pretty palette for spring. It's even got spring-like packaging on it. I just think it's really fun. So if you're looking for a palette that's more rosy pink tones, then I think this might be a great option. Okay, the final palette is the Colourpop Baby Got Peach palette. I love this. Again, I think it's such a fun palette. It does have a glitter shade in it, unfortunately, and it is a very messy glitter shade. I have used it on the eyes very carefully, more like on the bottom here, because I worry about it falling from the top of my eye into my actual eye. You've got to really think about that when applying glitter. But I just wish it wasn't there, and I'd rather have something like a white to peach duochrome. I think that would be quite fun. But they do put glitter in their palettes occasionally, and I know some people do really like it, but I'm just not one of them. So this is a monochromatic palette, so you're probably thinking, well, I can't really do much with that. But you could always mix it with something like the e.l.f. Cream and Sugar palette. So if you're into a pop of colour, in fact you could do that with the rest of these palettes. You could use a palette like this and then go in underneath the eye or like in the inner corner with something like this. So I think it's not very versatile on its own, but if you're somebody who doesn't mind using more than one palette, then I think it could be quite versatile. So my favourite shade in this palette is Get Even, and it's a peachy colour with a gold running through it. I think it's so fun and so nice all over the lid. This palette does have more mattes in it than the other, so it has 1, 2, 3 shimmers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mattes, and then a glitter shade. So it does have more mattes and shimmers, which I don't mind because it makes it more balanced. I'm definitely a shimmer person, if you can tell by my eyeshadows today. I very rarely do matte looks. I do have a couple of matte palettes, but I tend to like mix them with other things. A bit like I was saying with like the e.l.f. Cream, where's it gone? The e.l.f. Cream and Sugar palette. If you don't mind using more than one palette in your routine, then you could always use this and add a pop of colour. Anyway guys, those are my 5 favourite palettes of spring. Let me know if you've tried any of these or whether you want to try any of them. Tell me what your favourite palettes are, because I might not have tried them and it could be a good recommendation. Anyway guys, take care, be kind, and I'll see you in my next video.